Yo, what's going on, viewers of YouTube? Tyler here of Chico Crypto, and I got my friend Bill here with me once again because we're going through some code in Code Expose. For anyone who's tuning in for the first time, Bill, could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hey guys, hey Tyler, Happy New Year to start with.
Oh yeah,
hope it was
Happy
good.
New Year, brother.
So if it's better than 2018.
Hopefully.
Bill Petridis. I'm a development operations manager, and in my spare time, I'm a crypto hobbyist. And what I've started doing with Tyler is applying some of the concepts and tools that I use as part of the development operations job, which is to make sure code is of a particular level of quality and start applying those concepts and those tools to crypto project code. And that's what we've been doing.
Yes, we've been going through a lot of different code. We've done Neo, we've done Ontology, we've done VeChain, and we've done Tron and a few others. But today we're going to be going through some others. We're going to take a relook back at Tron's code. Then we're going to be going through Aion's code, which a lot of the community has requested. And finally, we're going to take a look at Wave's code. And then we're going to compare Wave's code to Tron's code. So let's get started into it. Let's not waste any time.
Sure, I'll just start up the screen share. Okay, so right into it. And what you're looking at now is my dashboard, which is growing. Now, the projects Tyler mentioned, just a handful of what we've managed to scan. But and this is publicly available. Tyler normally puts these links in the video description, so highly recommend people go and have a look at it.
Yes, anyone, if you want to check out this for yourself, to see we're not fudging any numbers, just click the link in the description. It will be right down there.
So a lot of people in the Chico army were asking me to scan out Aion, so I did. So let's go.
Looks like you checked out two parts of Aion too, the network and the API.
Yeah, I did. So this is the network, which is the main component. And then I also looked at the API, which is for anyone that doesn't know what an API is, it's an application programming interface. It's an interface that you would use if you're going to code out something that's going to talk into Aion. So I scanned out both of those, mainly because they seem to have had a lot of activity, and and this one here was the core of their functionality. So scanned both of them out. So let's go and have a look at the scanning reports before we dive into GitHub. So the Aion network, which is the core logic of the blockchain, is here. It didn't scan out that great, so I would say if you're a fan of Aion, I would probably recommend that you maybe go jump on their GitHub and maybe put a link in to this scan and raise a ticket.
It looks like their network has 172,000 lines of code. Is that correct over there?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah,
okay.
172. It's a combination.
326 bugs, 460 vulnerabilities, and 9.1K code smells.
Yeah, and like we were talking about last time, it's also the remediation effort, which is something that you've got to keep in mind. That's the amount of time that would take to review these issues, assign a developer, and get someone to sort it out. Obviously, that effort can be split between multiple people, but it's and look. I think we've covered this in the other videos. These are just static code checks for best practice type code quality, but you will notice in a lot of the projects that are doing quite well, the quality is pretty high. So I think it is a pretty good indicator. And in any project, and like this one is Java, if you have too many of these 101, you shouldn't really type it that way. Bugs. you're going to have issues at runtime. So it's really ideal to get these sorted out. I mean, in the enterprise world,
nip it in the bud instead of letting continue to build, because eventually you're going to have to go back and fix it.
Yeah, that's right. You'll have problems later, and you'll be like, "Oh, well, what's going on?" And then you run it through this, and it'll tell you. So I mean, this is how I actually started using this stuff to begin with. I mean, we were building software, shipping it, having issues at runtime. A lot of the stuff that we work on is Java. We're having performance issues. We're like, what the hell? Why? We're having code leak, memory leaks, having all sorts of problems. And eventually we ended up working our way backwards to this sort of stuff, and then found out, and we ran our own code through it and went, oh shit, look at all these bugs, right? And this is just, 101, really shouldn't factor your code that way. And when we actually got rid of them, all things, things went better. So, this is very helpful. It's not nitpicking, it's best practice, and it's, the rules are there for a reason.
So how did their GitHub for the network look? Were they actually following best practices, like communicating with each other and leaving good details?
Yeah, so their GitHub was pretty good. There's no continuous integration, which is the part that we've spoken about before, which I had a little diagram in previous videos. Let me just do that quickly. Code review. I have a little picture of what that process looks like. Continuous integration is kind of a process where any change that's ever made gets pushed through tools. I mean, I use Jenkins, but a lot of projects use Circle CI or Travis. I've noticed a lot of the crypto projects use that, but the whole purpose of this process, the continuous integration process, is to make sure that the code in the code repository is working at all times. So when you're working in a team, you never have a situation where there's code that's broken, because then a finger pointing exercise happens and it all gets a bit bitchy. So they don't have continuous integration running on their network repository, which is their core logic. But I did find, on a good note, did find the level of detail in here was quite good. There's a good story here. You can pick this up. A lot of testing, which is good. So they did, they're doing testing. It's just not continuously testing it in an automated fashion. But, this guy's testing it. There's some verification checks here. There was an approval process, back and forth. Eventually got approved, went in. And I can see that a fair bit for Aion. So on that side of things, they're doing a pretty good job. It just says, this is a bug fix, did all the unit tests, a lot of back and forth, and an approval. So
and improved and in. So that's exactly what you want to see. You want to see the good communication. You want to see everyone talking together. You don't just want to see, one person doing it and then it going in, because these are community projects.
Yeah, so they're doing a good job of that. And I like the approvers avatar. I might have to steal that.
That's funny. He's got a bunch of cigarettes.
Yeah. Yeah, so I found, on all the mergers that was pretty good for the most part. There are some exceptions, like this one, where lots of description, blah. Let's keep having, let's just look at some more. I found it, I mean, for the most part, it was pretty good, right? There was just a few exceptions, and that's okay. You're going to see that from time to time. There might be one that need to rush in or something, but, for the most part, it was really good.
Yeah, it looks good. Looks like good communication, and they're following the process.
Yeah. So that was good. So a fair few bugs. So I'd get them to maybe try and have a look at that. That'd be a good start. That was their network. Let's jump to the API. API scanned out a lot cleaner. Obviously, it's a fair bit smaller, but still quite a large repository.
Large repository. Only 62 bugs compared to the 326. So.
Yeah, the API was scanned out much cleaner. So, and given the amount of detail that was on the network, GitHub.
So I got a question, and do you think it may be less bugs on the API because it may be a different developer working, while there may be a shittier developer working on that, or is that just too far off?
You know what? It could just be simply a matter that they've never stuck it through these tools. You know, I mean, because you don't really know, right? Your code will compile, it'll run. You know, you won't be any the wiser for it. I mean, you'll think, you know, everything's going great until you stick it through these tools, and it'll be like, well, you know, you really shouldn't be doing this, and this. So it may just be a matter of that they're just not running it through. They may just not have ran it through these tools yet. So I've just got the API up now. It's got less bugs. Still a fair bit of effort for remediation. 79 days.
Mm-hmm.
If you drop the code smells out of there, it's not as much. Just focus on bugs and let's go back to the overview. So a couple days to iron out the bugs, which is pretty good.
Yep. That will take no time. One person could probably do that.
Yeah, and 5 hours to iron out the vulnerabilities. So that was pretty good. So that's the API. Let me just jump back to the network, go down to that level, just break it out a little bit. So bugs again on the for Aion on the network, 7 days to sort them out just from the code checker, and 12 days for the vulnerabilities. It's going to take a little bit longer. So it's not a gigantic task. Definitely something I think is worth doing for them.
Well, let's see about this next one. Let's talk about old.
One sec. Okay. I've got to click on the API. I just want to show you their GitHub for the API. So it was pretty good as well. Not a massive amount of detail, but they didn't have the continuous integration though. But the level of detail for the API was not as chatty, but the API is something that would be coded in-house. I wasn't really expecting as much chat on that, but it's definitely following an approval process. So it was pretty good. So, you know, I'm going to say that GitHub's pretty good. No continuous integration. That's something they might want to look at. And there's a fair few bugs, but not a massive amount of effort to deal with it. And yeah, that's Aion in a nutshell.
Nice. Well, I know what a lot of people want to see is Tron. Has Tron got any better since our last video? And I know you scanned out one more piece of Tron too, their Tron Studio.
Yeah, it's only because, man, I keep coming back to Tron. It's only because there's been so much Tron news lately with the whole BitTorrent thing. I just went, you know what, I want to go and have a look at that again. So the one that we scanned originally was the JavaTron, which is their core. JavaTron is basically their implementation of the white paper. So what's in the white paper, that's where it's coded out. Now this is the one that we've already looked at their GitHub. You know, we already saw that it wasn't chatty at all. You know, we've been scanning this since what, November now?
Yeah, and they haven't done anything to fix this. And we've even pointed it out.
Yeah. You know, it just keeps getting, just keep adding to the pile here. This pile just keeps getting bigger. So yeah.
219 days of effort.
yeah. So this is the one that we've been continuously scanning to keep an eye on, and so that doesn't seem to be getting any better. Then I also went out and had a look at their studio, because their studio is the tool. It's had a lot of activity as well. The studio is the tool, well, as per here. It's the tool for building out your contracts on Tron.
For DApp developers, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So this is their tool. So I thought this was probably an important one that I should scan as well.
So how did everything look with the scan?
Yeah, it's actually worse.
Worse.
Yeah.
And this is what DApp developers are using to build. So this is going to be used by the community a lot.
Yeah. So it's picked up a lot of issues. And this one was even more effort. 229 days. I mean, what do we compare that to Aion before? It was like, it was what, 10, 50, it was less than 20, right? And they're in the hundreds. So for both.
Yeah.
So
that's a lot of work. It's going to take a team to do that.
Yeah, it kind of makes sense that they went and bought software that worked. I'm guessing based on
that might be the reason they bought BitTorrent.
It's possible. Because if I was looking at this, I'd be like, shit, I'm going to go buy something that actually works right now, because I don't want to be really dealing with that.
And that's funny too, because they're tokenizing it too. So they're basically creating a new coin out of Tron.
Yeah, that bit doesn't make sense to me. Maybe someone can explain that. So they bought, but isn't like BitTorrent, that's a free thing, right? I use torrents all the time. I've never paid to use a torrent.
Yeah, I've never used BitTorrent before, personally.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't get it.
So they bought it and then tokenized it. So now I guess you'd be paying for something that was probably free.
It is free, but to like prioritize the downloads, so supposedly with BitTorrent, you can pay with their tokens. It's making like almost a fast lane for torrenting.
All right. I would have thought that's, well, if they bought it, wouldn't they use their own token? I don't know. It's not my problem. I'm just looking at the code. And the GitHub was the same sort of story.
Same kind of story, not much communicate. Oh yeah, that's just code. How would you even know? I mean, of course, if you're a developer, you're going in there, code, but there's no one talking about it, saying what they did. It's kind of hard to understand, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's the same story as the main one. Fix bug, do not sync. I think he meant did not sync. It's just the same old stuff.
And it looks like it's a lot of it is from that same guy who was from the Java toolkit. Yeah,
that's the same dude.
Huh.
Yeah. So there's a merge. Yeah, I'll see if this one might have gone. No. All right. Yeah. So I managed to find another Tron repository that was actually worse than I didn't think it was possible, but
it is. And that one, that's interesting to me, because that's the one the community, of developers is going to be interacting with probably the most.
Yep.
That and the APIs.
Yeah. I mean, that's your way in, right? So, didn't like that.
So Tron has some work to do. Well, for our final one, this is going to be interesting, because our final one we're going to do is Waves. And Waves has a lot of bugs, actually, in their GUI. You scanned out 2 parts of Waves, right?
Yeah, I did. So I scanned out the Waves node, which, let me just get that GitHub out. Oh, yeah, this is like where their core logic is. And this I quite liked what I saw here. So they've got a continuous integration tool. working right now. Looks like one just. Oh, that's not for the core branch, but there's
example added. Fear of missing out.
yeah. That's just, it's not on the core branch, but the core build is it's just on. He's just playing around with. This is one of his branches, right? That he's just farting around with. But the the master it's passing. So which is this guy. So there's a lot of green. So I did like that they're using a. I should really just focus on the actual branch that matters, because I actually got told off. I might do a retraction. I think it was it Nebulous? I was looking at the wrong build for them, so I'll get to that later. So I apologise to those guys, but this is the master branch, and it's building out quite nicely. So I was pretty happy to see that with Waves. The chattiness was pretty good. They're following a pretty strict process with approvals and so forth. Not a massive amount of detail, but I guess I'm not sure the history of the project. Is it a community group, or is it sort of like an in-house dev group?
More in-house with Waves currently. Of course, they want to be a community platform with apps and multiple developers, but mostly in-house.
Cool. Yeah. Well, I mean, look, this was good. There's nothing wrong here. For an in-house team, it tells you what was going on. There's an approval. There's a Jirra ticket linked to it. Don't know if you've seen Jirra before.
Mm-mm.
Oh, I use Jirra all the time, but I have to jump into my work stuff. Maybe I can show you Jirra another time. Jirra is a really good way of managing projects. I'll just do an example. Jirra. Okay, let's go again. So this is what Jirra looks like. I mean, I live in Jirra for work, and you can see with Waves, they have links to a Jirra ticket. So they're actually correlating. So they're managing their project in Jirra, which is really good, because you can see here, it gives you a bunch of swim lanes that you can work with, and also columns which represent different statuses of particular issues. So for example, if with Jirra, if I was to identify a problem, I would raise it and put it in the to-do column. So if you find something goes in the to-do column, it's basically your backlog. Then, someone starts to assign it to a person. So you'd be like, okay, so someone might do the vetting, you assign it to a guy, he starts working on it. Then you'd have a testing process, and when you're finished, it's done. I mean, you can have as many of these columns as you want. I mean, with some of the projects that I work on, there's like 15, because it has to go through so many steps. And it's a really, really good tool for managing your projects. And what you can do also is you can break up these tickets, these Jirra tickets. You can see how each one of these has got an ID. You can break out these Jirra tickets into sprints. So you can say, okay, so for this sprint, right, for the next month, we're going to do, these 20, and you pick them, and and they go on this board, and then they just make their way through. It's really cool too. You can just sort of drag it across. My live Jirra is my work Jirra, so I'm not going to show that, but this is just an example. So with Waves, they are using Jirra, and they put the commit and they linked it to a Jirra ticket. I really like to see stuff like that. That's quite good. Let's just see if the other ones have the same thing. Yeah, see? So all you'd have to do if you're working on that project, I wonder if it's public. No.
You just,
edit that last bit out.
you're a developer with team, you just click in, you'd be automatically taken into Jirra, right?
Yeah, that's correct. So you just click in there, and that would take you straight to the ticket. It would have all the detail you need, right? So, and yeah, it's a much better way of actually managing tickets than GitHub. GitHub's not particularly designed for that. It's not bad for public sort of things, but Jira's like really, really good for managing sprints. So, and look, so that's really good. With every one of these merges, they're linking to a Jira ticket that has the full story, and they're also putting the details, some detail out here too. So from a GitHub point of view, I found that
it's looking real nice.
Yeah, that was good. It was good. Got a build. So it was a tick for Waves. I was pretty happy with that. So that was a node. I scanned that out. This is the core logic.
Looks pretty clean. Only 44 bugs, 83K lines of code, 1 vulnerability, and it passes.
Yeah, and the remediation effort wasn't too bad either, right? I mean, for the bugs, it was 6 hours. Vulnerabilities.
5 minutes.
Nice work. I'm sure someone can knock that over. Yeah, so that was good. I did scan out one other part of Waves.
The GUI, and that looks like it had a little bit more vulnerabilities or bugs, actually.
Yeah, it did, but these were, I mean, look, this is just their public-facing website, right? This is just, JavaScript, HTML, and a lot of these things were really pissy. I mean, it would take someone literally 5 minutes to sort these out. Let me just go in there, actually, take a look at the effort. Yeah, it's 5 days total.
5 days. So that's funny because it has a similar amount of bugs as Tron, but the effort compared to Tron is much less. So these are just really simple type of things that they can fix quickly.
Yeah, these are just they're not even, these are more like best practice, because it's, from a website, they're saying, don't put your, don't put your styles in the actual page, stick them out in a, it's just moving code into a different spot. So, and you can see that it's saying that the effort for each one of these is 5 minutes. I mean, they could probably link these together. And that's why the total came out like really small, because they're really not a big deal. Yeah, I mean, this is just their this is just static HTML website code. It's not a big deal. So I guess I'm more than happy to give it a rescan if someone wants to go flick them a ticket, and we can get them all AAA or.
Hey, if any of you are a Waves fan, definitely put a ticket in, see if they respond to it, and get the things cleaned up, because other projects we've scanned.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they would, given that they are using Jirra and so forth. So I think that's worth doing. I won't make it homework. I mean, I don't know if anyone else did it, but I'll show you where to go to actually raise that ticket. You would just go to this link here, Waves GUI issues, and you would just create a new one. Let's see if someone does it. If they don't, I'll do it.
Well, hey, I mean, this is something people usually don't know what they're doing, especially investors. Maybe the developer side, of course, they know how to raise an issue. But, from the investor side and someone who's interested in this type of stuff, I mean, anyone can do this. You don't have to be a developer.
No. Let me show you. Someone's been asking about that, actually. So let me you just go to github.com and click the sign up link and enter an email address, and that's it. And then, if you really want to, you can put your picture in or whatever, and then people just know who you are, and that's it. That's all you need, right? I mean, so you go in, create an account. Let's go and have a look at, let's go back to Waves where's GUI? You would then go to here after you've created your account, and you click on the issues, and you would just say new issue, and then you just put in like code checks, bugs, you know. I'm not going to do it because I want someone else to do it. I want people to start doing this stuff because it's kind of important right now that people look at this level of detail, right? And then you can just go to the page, which is here. Grab this link, stick it in. Hey, I just watched a video with two dickheads. They
pointed out some stuff.
Yeah, ran a static scan, and it found a few issues. Please take a look. The recommendations. The scan. And you just paste the link in, and that's it, right? You would just hit submit, and then it's up to them. And what would be good homework is, I've got a whole bunch of these projects now. I'm not going to submit this. I want other people to do this. But I've got a whole bunch of projects here, and Tyler will stick, the link in. So if you're invested in one of these projects and you see something that you don't like, you should just do the steps that I did before. Go in and raise some tickets. I did it for Neo myself, and I got the numbers down, which I was quite happy with because that was in the red before, and now it's down to 8. So I was, I had a good experience. So if you're highly invested in these things, go raise some tickets. I mean, I did it for Tron as well, but they just closed it on me. So.
As Tron suckers. Well, next time we will definitely, hopefully, see some improvements from Tron. I mean, I don't expect to, but next episode, we're going to be looking at some other projects. Yeah, it looks like you got Icon in there, IOTA. So those are some pretty popular projects, and I think you have 0x at the bottom. So I'd like to take a look at that one next time.
Yeah, I've been busy. So, yep, I've got a whole bunch of them now. So let's do them next time.
All right, Bill. Well, again, this is much appreciated. I'm sure all the communities, Waves, Aion, and even Tron might love you a little bit. All right.
We'll see.
All right, Bill. Well, I will see you next time, and we will check out more code.